And ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, here at the Fifth Dimension Radio Studios in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. And you know what that means.
10-cent beer night.
Back from Myrtle Beach, Baseball Bob telling you it's 10-cent beer night from official sports show, FifthDimensionRadio.com, and also at WAOH TV. Welcome back. We are filming here on May the 11th, Monday, May the 11th, on the afternoon. So I'm telling you that right now. It's 1:01 p.m. because by the time you're hearing this, the Cavaliers will be underway with Game 5 of the series. And we don't know if they won Game 4 yet on Monday, but so we're recording this. They're down 2-1 in the series, which is not a bad place to be right now. But they, by the time you hear this, they could be tied at 2. They could be down 3-1, God forbid. But they would be headed back to Detroit by the time we get on air here. But the last time, our last show, they hadn't begun the series yet. And a lot has happened since our last 10-cent beer night show in the NBA. The first 2 games of the Cavs, so-so. Too many turnovers, too many bad shots.
Yeah, we sat there in Myrtle Beach and watched both games.
Yeah.
At our little watering hole that we attended.
There you go. At least you had something fun to do during those games, because that was not fun games to watch. Those were games.
No, they were not fun games to watch.
They should have won. I'll be honest with you. Game 3, I mean, they pulled it off. They did blow a lead there, which it's the NBA playoffs. You're playing the top-ranked seed in the East. Pistons aren't going to lay down. They're just not going to. But the Cavs kept their composure. They limited the turnovers, which helped. I mean, it wasn't perfect either. They still gave up too many. But they limited them, and then they hit more shots because, their three-point shooting's been kind of rocky too. But overall, Game 3 was a success. And as we are broadcasting, and again, like I said, I don't know the results of Game 4, but they are undefeated at home. So I think the ideal situation is, I said last week, Cavs in 6 was my prediction. It still could go that way as long as they win Game 4 and they find a way to win away on Wednesday night.
You gotta win on the road at least one.
Right. I mean, you're not going to win. You're not going to go to or win the NBA Finals, not winning on the road. So I mean, you got to just win on the road. If you remember when the Cavs won it almost 10 years ago, they won away. They won in Golden State there. So you have to win away, and they're just not coming up with it. I think my thing about it is there's frustration. They're not perfect, and again, Pistons are going to win some of these games. I thought they were going to go, if you remember our last broadcast, I thought they were going to go back to Cleveland 1-1 in the series. They were down 2-0, and they got a chance to tie the series here. I thought they would be playing a little bit better than what they are now, because I think my thing is Pistons, they're a very good defensive team, a good mix of veterans and young guys too. But they're not the biggest team under the basket. They have Jalen Duren, but that's about it. Isaiah Stewart does pretty well too, but again, he's not the biggest guy. But yet we have these bigs down there, and they're still getting bullied.
Underneath the basket, I think they're out rebounding us. It just seems that way.
No, the offensive rebound's been stepping up a bit here. I think some of the shot selection I'm iffy about. I remember I had some things going on Saturday, so I watched the first half on TV, and I listened to the second half in the car on the radio. And Jim Jones, he's doing his last playoff broadcast with the Cavs before he retires, and he played for the Cavs. If you remember,
is he retired?
Yeah,
I did not hear that.
He is retired. Yeah, I was actually
great run.
Right, I went to the last game of the regular season, and they did a whole thing for him. And gave him a whole, I'm trying to think what you call it, a frame with his old jersey and pictures of him broadcast. They did a whole thing for him.
Is he going to stay on all the way through the playoffs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's doing the playoffs and everything. But he brought up a good point. The Cavs went into halftime with a 14-point lead, I think it was, got it up to 17 at a time. And they started missing some of these threes. And again, if you're wide open and you got a good three-point shooter, take the shot in the playoffs, because if you hit those are going to be big. But he made the comment, he said, this is what I told them not to do. Not to them personally, but this is on his broadcast. And he said, that's not how you built the lead. You built the lead by inside game and mid-range shots. And he said, you're losing the lead because you're just throwing up threes now. You know,
you live by 3, you're going to die by 3.
Right. And there, like I said, there's a time and a place where it's necessary. Again, we watched, I hate to bring it up to people, but we watched the Golden State Warriors win 3 out of 4 championships against the Cavs because of their ability to shoot the three as well as they did. And that was part of it, you know. But again, it was, they usually didn't just chuck it up. It usually was when the shot looked good and they had a wide open look. Donovan Mitchell's kind of been, with his three-point shot, kind of iffy. Sam Merrill's been inconsistent. Wade started hitting him a little bit more, so is Schroeder. And I'll say Harden overall, despite the turnovers and some of the frustration from the fans, he has overall hit the three pretty well at this point. Mobley, somewhat, it's been, again, inconsistent. They keep giving it to him. I think some people ask, why does he keep putting up the three as much as he has in the playoffs? Nobody can block it. The way he shoots the ball, nobody's going to get up there and block that shot. So that's kind of a good three-point look when he takes the shot there. I'm still pretty confident in where the Cavs are right now, but I think they got to show more toughness down there. They really do, and I think that's what frustrates me is I'm looking at this team, and I'm reminding myself 3 years ago in the New York series how they got bullied under the basket. I'm reminding myself against the Celtics a couple years ago how tough the Cavs did play in some of those games. The Celtics still just outplayed them. Right. And then last year you have the Pacers there, where the Cavs were consistent. This is the part that, not just under the basket, that annoys me, is defensively they're not always putting a hand up. And it's like you gotta give the guy something. You know, you gotta provoke the shot from missing in some way without fouling them too. And so, and we are talking about they're going against the number 1 seed of the East that has done their due diligence to make it where they're at. JB Bickerstaff might win Coach of the Year. It's unofficial. He's nominated, but he's pretty favored to potentially win that award. And he just signed an extension recently. The other problem is you cannot let JB Bickerstaff have the last laugh here. No, you know, yeah. It's nothing against him personally. Well, partially because my issue with him is, all right, he gets fired. He has every right to be mad. But then he mocked the fans and the players after his first game with the Pistons. He was in Cleveland. And we gave him a standing ovation. I was there. I can tell you. We gave him a standing ovation. I think your brother was with me. No, somebody else was. Your brother was with me the next Pistons game.
Yeah, you always ask my brother. You never ask me.
Oh, yeah. No, that's not true. I asked your brother because you're not available. But I did take your brother to a Cavs-Pistons game under JB there. But anyway, I bring it because I was there, and then he mocked the fans for the standing ovation. And I was like, why do you have to say that? You know, I understand you're mad at the organization. You thought you were building something special.
He mocked the fans?
Yeah, he kind of talked down to the fans and the
after we give him a standing ovation.
Yeah,
he can go to hell.
Yeah, that's. I mean, Bob just says it how it is sometimes, but that's why it's like they can't have this because if he wins this series, they're gonna look back and say, was it JB after all, or was the team that we built that much overrated? And that's going to be the debate there. And it's going to look worse because now we also have James Harden in the mix. And while he might not be in his prime per se, he's still very good and he's still one of the better players.
I'll tell you what, though, the first 2 games, we were sitting there at the our local watering hole in there in South, and everybody's talking, he got butter on his hands or something? He lost a lot of balls.
He did. No, he did not play well there. There was an interesting perspective.
Now, he did play well in the third game.
Yes. There was an interesting perspective in the middle of game 2, all right? And I was listening part of the radio, and there was a Cav alum. Don't quote me. I didn't catch a name. I thought I heard him say it, but I'm not sure. I think it was Mo Williams who played alongside LeBron for both tenure, because he was on the 2016 team too. And I think it was him, don't quote me, but it was a Cavs alum that said the old Cavs players were talking to each other watching this game. And, they have their own opinions. They observe too. They're not coaches, but they're players, and they watch schemes and everything. And they said they wanted to tell Kenny Atkinson, they said if they had their way, of course they're not going to get in the way of the coaches, but their opinion, they said, they're watching, they said when Mitchell is playing just shooting guard and not running point, and same thing with Harden, they were getting more open and they were getting better looks against this Pistons team with somebody else running point guard. And they said they wanted to see Schroeder have the ball more.
Schroeder's having a good game, good series.
Schroeder, and another, they didn't say this, but they hinted at it. Craig Porter Jr., who is not getting any playing time for whatever, because they told him they wanted a bigger role from him this year. He played well when he played, but he's not getting any playoff playing time. But they would like to see a rotation where Harden and Mitchell are mainly the shooting guards most of the game, and somebody else is running point. Because they said the way that Detroit's defense is set up, it would open up the floor more. Yeah. So that was an interesting perspective. So it's not that Harden is incapable, it's not that Mitchell's incapable, but the defense is planning on it, they're preparing for it. But when they're off the ball, these old Cavs players are claiming that these guys are wide open and have a better shot selection for themselves. I mean, it's something to think about. Another thing you can play with as far as point guard, if you're not going to put Craig out there, Sam Merrill's technically also a point guard. He mainly plays shooting guard.
I like Sam Merrill.
Yeah, I mean, he plays tough, and he has decent handles. He doesn't turn over the ball like that usually. It's like maybe switch it out on him, because worst case scenario, if they leave him with space, he's going to knock down a shot. He's got that long range. So there's other ideas they can play with. But I think early in these games, the first thing they need to do is get Mobley and Allen going, because when they get going, they got a steady rhythm happening. And then I would say as the game goes along and later, especially when you're looking for longer range shots, that's when Harden and Mitchell really, really take things over. But I would get your bigs involved, because they can only contain them for so. I mean, Jalen Duren's one guy, and while he's a great defender in the paint, he's only going to be able to take on one of those guys at a time. So that's just it's a look out for with the Cavs there.
I'll tell you what, though, like I said, I like the Harden. Like I said, those first two games, I'm glad he looked good the third game.
Right.
That first two games, he looked like he couldn't hold on to the ball.
Right.
I mean, a lot of balls got by him, went out of bounds on him. Right. We all sitting there going, what's wrong? Bench the guy. I mean, right. Why is he out there if he can't hold the ball?
And he did in the middle of game 2, and things were running more smoothly there in that one specific. And
I mean, he's a good player. He was a great player at one time.
Right.
I mean, he's up there in age now. He's getting old.
Yeah.
What is he now? 30, probably 38, 39?
No, he's like 35 or 36. Yeah.
I know he's in his mid to late 30s.
But that's
old for the NBA.
Yeah, that is old for the NBA. I mean,
that ain't old for us, but it's old for
right for the NBA there. I mean, and they would not trade for him if he didn't have enough in the tank, and he does. And I'm hearing people, and again, he was playing well in the Toronto series so well that you didn't hear it before. You hear in these first two games because he didn't play very well. And people were like, well, see, we might as well just kept Garland. And it's like, you don't know if Garland would have been playing at all. Right. You know how long it took the Clippers to get his first game? Because his toe was so banged up. I mean, you're not guaranteed. I mean, I think that was partially why they traded him, So as far as the Harden stuff goes.
I'm just glad he came back in the third game. Looking forward to seeing him Monday night.
Right.
Hope of course, we won't know the score until after.
Right.
Till our next show, really. But
right. And then, like, with this show, Wednesday night, because there is going to be a game Wednesday for sure.
Yeah, game 5.
Regardless.
Guarantee a game 5.
Right. So, hopefully, I mean, the best case scenario for the Cavs, they win it out. Is because they win game 4. They find a way to win a game 5 at away, and then they bring it back home and just finish them. That would be the best case scenario. Now, if they finish them, who would they play? We already know, because despite my prediction last week, the New York Knicks swept the Philadelphia 76ers yesterday. I had it. I know you said you didn't get to catch the show; you were traveling back, but I had the Sixers in 6 games. I was convinced the way they bullied the Celtics, they were going to keep that going and find a way to finish New York. No, the Knicks have already advanced. They're going to the Eastern Conference Final, and they will officially have home court advantage if they play the Cavs. If they play the Pistons is going to have the home court advantage. But this is the ultimate chance Cavs have at all kinds of revenge. They can beat JB and the Pistons here, because it's their bitter rival and it's their old coach. And then they can go and beat New York for what they did a couple years ago. I mean, because New York's feeling good. And then another former coach, Mike Brown's the coach of the Knicks. He wants to go back to the because if he goes back to the finals, this is going to be the most secure job he's going to have in a while. So that's what it's looking like there. As we're speaking, I brought up the Knicks. I'm going to the West Coast here. Last night's game, Minnesota won and beat San Antonio, and that series is tied at 2. There will be no penalties for Victor Wembanyama, who elbowed Naz Reid in the face yesterday and was ejected. It was a throat more, which is why they called flagrant 2. And it didn't look intentional, so they said they had to call it, but they said the NBA will not fine or suspend him a game over it. They're just going to keep on moving on. I mean, he was just thrown ejected out of that game, and it was kind of funny because he barely speaks much English. He's French, so he had to ask his teammate, like, what did they call? He told him, and he was trying to understand. He was like, I ejected, and he's like, yeah, you're ejected. So he's like, okay. And he kind of got up, and he didn't fight it. He didn't get mad, and I'm sure he was upset. But he didn't show it there. But it was kind of like his initial reaction was he didn't understand what the call was. So they had to explain to him.
ESPN had a highlight of the ejection,
Right.
and it didn't look like it was purpose.
No,
but it didn't look so. But
it was. I don't think he intentionally hit him, but he was aggressive about it, and that's why they got a call.
Oh yeah, he was fighting for it.
Right.
But it didn't look like he did it on purpose.
No, it didn't look like he wanted to hurt him. But you have that, and then we gotta wrap up our first segment here. But Oklahoma City's up 3-0, and it's looking like they're going to go for the sweep tonight. And by the time you hear this, they may have already swept. You don't know. But Lakers are looking iffy. Is this LeBron's last game as an LA Laker? That's going to be the question. Or as an NBA player. A lot of things will be revealed in
He's coming back to Cleveland.
But
he's coming back to Cleveland. He's going to retire in Cleveland. He's going to come back, play one game, and retire. You watch.
Oh, I think if he came back, he'd play more than one game.
Well, I'm just saying he's coming. He's going to retire in Cleveland.
There you go.
Especially when they open that new restaurant down there at the 333 whatever that, the old Tangiers building. They opened that.
Oh yeah, that place,
which he owns.
Right.
So.
Right.
He's coming back to Akron.
I thought he was talking about
come back to Cleveland.
He's still got a place in Akron there. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about Major League Baseball, where the Guardians today, and they made a trade this past week, and me and Bob will be talking about that and more. Stay tuned. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our second segment of this middle of May 10-cent beer night on FifthDimensionRadio.com and WAOH TV. I'm Seth.
I'm Bob.
And before we get to baseball, Bob, I do want to mention real quick, yesterday was the NBA lottery for the draft. And, of course, our Cavaliers being in the playoffs were not part of that. And they own, it's kind of weird, all these trades that have happened. They own the Spurs, pick, not even their own pick this year, because there was a pick swap in the Donovan Mitchell trade for this year, and Jazz traded their pick to the Spurs. It's a whole in the NBA. You could trade a pick 5 different times, and it finally comes through. It's like, for example, me and some friends always talk about the 2003 lottery, and about what would have happened if the Cavs didn't get the first pick. They would have got LeBron anyway, it comes out. So, just a real quick story, so people don't read it. The Cavs win the 2003 lottery, they pick LeBron James, okay? The Grizzlies had the second overall pick, okay? But if you remember, the Pistons picked. The story is it's from a trade from 1998. And so it was a protected pick, and every year the value got, increasingly and regarding wherever the Grizzlies situation was. And finally this year, it was an unprotected pick. And the Pistons called the Grizzlies before the lottery and said, if you win the pick, we'll let you keep it. But if you lose it, we want it. And Grizzlies lost. So the Pistons said, we'll take the second overall pick. And actually, they picked Darko Milicic, and that didn't work out. But it got brought up recently because they said, well, if the Grizzlies would have won the draft, LeBron would have started Memphis. And LeBron said, no, I would have pulled a Eli Manning. I would have said, you're not picking me. I'm not staying. So he would have fell to Cleveland at 2. So he would have ended up in. It's good that we've always debated. What if they never won that pick? It would not have mattered in the end. He was down to stay home over. He can't stay in Memphis. It came out. He said Memphis, Milwaukee, and there was another spot he cannot stand. And
what's wrong with Memphis?
He just doesn't like it.
Memphis, the home of the king of rock and roll, came from Memphis.
Right. I got nothing against Memphis. I've never been there, so I can't say anything against.
I drove through it once.
Right. And they might be in the Eastern Conference soon, especially if Vegas and Seattle. If Seattle comes back and Vegas has a team, they're talking about Memphis and Minnesota coming to the East, and right now Minnesota's very tough. But anyway, back to what I was saying.
Before we go any farther, let's congratulate the Akron girls softball team.
I was gonna wait, but we'll do that right now. We'll do they
won
won
MAC championship, first time ever going to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah,
because when they won the MAC title in 1989,
that was before I was born.
yeah, but there was no automatic bid, and Akron did not make it then. So. There was no automatic bid. Now the MAC has an automatic bid. So.
There you go.
So it's playing LSU Friday, 12:30, ESPN2, I think it is.
They weren't softball players, but the school of Paul Skeens and Olivia Dunn. They're looking forward to it. Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Odell Beckham Jr. All those fun names that come out of there.
LSU.
LSU, yeah.
The biggest one, the biggest one. And he beat Akron U in the Grambling Rice Bowl in '68. A guy named Terry Bradshaw.
Oh yeah, he was LSU, wasn't he?
Yeah, LSU.
Yeah. I remember for his other yellow team. That's a whole other story. Yeah, don't get me. But go beat them, girl. I mean, this is a Southern softball team. In the South, the softball and the baseball is huge. I mean, they sell out like some places sell out football. I mean, like that season tickets, box seats, everything.
So I don't understand though. It's the Baton Rouge, Louisiana. That's where the tournament is. And LSU is Louisiana. What? Wait a minute here. You're putting them at their home turf.
It kind of just worked out there.
I don't.
I know. Well, here's the encouraging, Bob. These girls were not just MAC champions. They beat good big schools too. They beat up Ohio State before they finished the MAC season off. So don't rule out an upset. This is not like in basketball where they're just the biggest team.
Yeah, I wasn't around, but I probably would have went down there Sunday to watch the MAC championship game. I probably would have went.
Right. I mean, they did very well. I saw the highlights, and I mean, they had a walk-off grand slam in the semifinals.
Yeah.
I mean, these girls have played so well up to this point. So, congratulations to them.
All right.
Let's
get back to baseball.
Yeah. Basketball real quick. So, for the third time ever in franchise history, the Washington Wizards won the lottery. Okay, so they'll pick first. Their decision is going to be between. This class is good this year. This is a very low class. AJ Bansa, I think it's how you say it. I apologize if I butcher that. He's favored to be first overall because of the Wizards situation. And by the way, if the Wizards are fully healthy, they could be a playoff team next year. And because they got Trae Young and Anthony Davis. And yes, I'm aware this is the second year in a row somebody traded for Anthony Davis and got the first overall pick. I don't know if there's a story behind that, but that's just the way it is. But AJ Dybinesta of BYU, small forward, the top scorer in the NCAA this year, averaged 25.5 points and 6.8 rebounds. Pick 2 is going to go to the Utah Jazz. Of course, there are other options other than Dibanesta. Cuyahoga Falls native Darren Peterson of Kansas. He could be point guard, could be shooting guard. The Jazz, they're predicted to take him here, but Jazz are pretty loaded at guard. They compared him to Donovan Mitchell in the last summer. They had Jazz scouts talking about him. Cameron Boozer, son of former Cavalier Carlos Boozer, is the big man to watch, and his teammate Caleb Wilson is another guy to watch out. But the other picks, Grizzlies got the 3rd overall pick. The Chicago Bulls got the 4th. From the Pacers had a bad season. It was top 3 pick. Protected. It fell up beneath the top 3. But the Clippers get the pick from the Vincent Zubac trade. So Clippers will have the 5th overall pick instead of the Pacers there. The Nets fall to 6th. They have bad season after bad season and fall out of the top 5. You think that's bad? The Kings fell to 7th. Kings have the exact same story, just on the opposite end of the coast there. Hey, just pick the right. And here's the thing: Kings have picked good players. They just trade them away before they blow up. You have the Hawks, who made the playoffs, will pick 8th because it was a trade with the Pelicans for Murray. I can't think of his first name on top of my head right now. I'll look it up here, but it was a trade that they did. Hold on, would have. Let me see. I'm pulling this up. If they had their first round, yeah, they traded. No, it was. Let's see. It was for Derek Queen. Oh, this was a different trade. Yeah, this wasn't who I thought. Never mind. They picked Swapback in last year. That's what it was. So, yeah, because the Hawks traded the 13th pick to the Pelicans for the 23rd and their pick this year. That's how that works. So I'm glad I looked it up and corrected myself. So that's how it happened. But the Hawks, who are in the playoffs, walk away with the 8th overall pick. You have the Dallas Mavericks with the 9th. The Milwaukee Bucks, who just put Giannis Antetokounmpo on sale today, officially again, will pick 10th. You have the Golden State Warriors going to pick 11th. The Clippers pick, that is 12th overall. Their original pick is going to OKC as part of a trade, the Paul George trade that happened a while ago. So OKC still reaping the benefits from that trade. The 13th pick is going to go to the Heat, the Miami Heat there. 14th pick is going to go to the Charlotte Hornets, who are on the rise there. And the 15th pick, that was originally the Trailblazers, is going to the Chicago Bulls. So Bulls will have 2 of the top 15 picks there. So, and the rest is all playoffs. Actually, no, that was playoffs too because Blazers made the playoffs there. So, there's your update. Again, Cavs have the Spurs pick, so as long as the Spurs are still playing, that's where the Cavs pick will be. I'm not too worried. Some people are talking about a game changer at that pick. If they could do that, that'd be great, but usually you get a solid role player there. I will add, with Bob here and everything, his name's slipping my mind, so I'll pull it up here. Shama Scott of the Akron Zips was brought in to the Phoenix Sun pre-draft, which you're allowed to start scouting and drafting if your team's not. And Suns got eliminated from the playoffs in the first round, so they brought Shama Scott in for a tryout. And
I guess he did pretty good.
Yeah,
somebody said he did very well.
The fact a lot of our Zips will get looks in the summer league and all that, but they won't necessarily get a tryout pre-draft. The fact he was getting looks is saying something. So, could we talk about?
He gets signed as probably a free agent.
Right. It'd be great to see him get picked in the second round, though. It would be.
That's true. I'd love to see it. That'd be 2 Akron guys within the last couple of years.
Yeah, that would be a big deal there. And
I think Freeman's still he's playing.
He's with Minnesota. They're still active, but he's a 2-way contract.
G-League.
Yeah, he might be with the team, but he's dressed in casual clothes. He's not.
Yeah. I come to think of it, I thought I'd seen him the other night on the bench.
He may have been. Because they still
sitting down on the court with the team. You know?
They still joined the team in the postseason and everything. So.
Yeah. I always liked Freeman. One of the best we ever had.
Shifting gears here, Bob, we got to talk baseball. Guardians went 3-4 last week. They split the series against the Royals at 2-2, a 4-game series there. And then against Minnesota, they lost the series at home against Minnesota.
And Saturday's game really peed me off. You had bases loaded 3 times with 1 out or no outs, and they couldn't even get a run in.
No.
Couldn't even get a run in. Couldn't even get a fly ball to the outfield for a sacrifice.
I couldn't see the game, but did Bazana get a shot?
Bazana, he didn't get a hit.
There you go. I was just asked because he's been getting hits, and he's especially with runners on. And
The only guy
everything,
that's been hitting is a Chase Label. He got 2 hits yesterday against Minnesota.
he's panning out there. This week, and I had mentioned it a little bit last week, they are hosts. Actually, by the time you hear this, they have wrapped up a series against the Angels at home. Angels have been playing pretty decent, so this is not going to be a cakewalk like it was last year. The Battle of Ohio is this weekend. They have Thursday off, but the Cincinnati Reds come to town with Tito Francona. WKYC Channel 3 is going to do Friday night's game, so look out for that.
And that's also the week they're honoring the 2016 team.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't hear that.
they're honoring, and Saturday is a
Roger Davis.
Roger Davis bobblehead.
There you go. I did hear about that, so I didn't know that.
Yeah, but they're honoring a lot of the guys from 2016 team will be there.
All right.
At stadium.
And then on our next 10-cent beer night, they will be at Detroit for a 4-game series. And then they're going to be away for a little bit that week. But that's the schedule coming up. So they play the Angels. They're going to play the Battle of Ohio, and then they're going to play their bitter rival, who they're expected to be neck to neck with at some point later this season. And then it sounds like the whole division is really going to be neck to neck.
Well, I'll tell you right now. Look at the division now. Cleveland's got 21 wins. Minnesota's got 18 wins, and they're last.
Right, they're 2. Yeah, the Central right now is Cleveland's first tie. I mean, record is tied at 21. 21 wins, 21 losses.
Yeah, they're 500.
Chicago's 1 game behind in second. Kansas City and Detroit are a game and a half tied at third. And then, like you said, Bob, 2.5 games back are the Twins. Now,
it's. I mean, this early in the season, that tight. It's could be, barring any injuries, it could be a rough year in the Central Division for everybody.
It could be. Now we gotta, before we get into more details of the standings and everything, we do need to talk about a surprising trade that made MLB headlines over the weekend. Guards have traded for Giants' former now starting catcher Patrick Bailey in a trade, and they traded away a first round pick, 29th overall, and a left-handed starting pitcher prospect, which was the Akron Rubber Ducks ace going into the season. This is a weird trade, Bob.
It is a weird trade, especially what's the guy's name? Patrick
Bailey.
Bailey.
Patrick Bailey. Yeah.
Yeah. He was struggling, but he's a very good framer.
Right.
Defensive catcher. He's probably one of the best in baseball. But as for hitting wise and stuff, he's been struggling.
They send Bo Naylor down, and that was what's
there's something more to that than just they sent him to AAA, and then yesterday he went to Arizona. He went to Arizona.
Right, that's what they're heading to Arizona before AAA. It says
because he's got to have some work. There's something wrong there.
Right,
and then we're not knowing about.
Right. Stephen Vogts said that this was the most uncomfortable, least favorite conversation he's had since he's taken the job, and how highly he thinks of Bo. I think they overpaid for. I'm going to say what it is. As a defensive catcher, he's great. If he's just like the person I'm comparing him to, that's going to work out in the clubhouse. But they traded a lot for Austin Hedges 2.0. This guy, he doesn't hit very well. And the Giants were willing to let him go because they had a top prospect catcher they were ready to bring up because his bat was better. So they make this trade. But I looked back.
They didn't trade for no bat. We need bats. Right. We need bats.
To put it in a perspective, I re-looked up. If you remember, we were talking about the 2016 team. but there was major trade deadline activity going on that season, including Andrew Miller, who was a huge piece of the 2016 team. And if you remember, Bob, there was a trade accepted and then vetoed by Jonathan Lucroy, former catcher of the Brewers, because the Indians at the time were about to make a move for the all-star catcher because he was a great hitting catcher, and they had a trade in place. It was agreed upon, but he had a no trade clause, including 8 teams on the list, including Cleveland. They asked, "Would you waive it?" And he said no. So he ended up not getting traded, and it ended up being a blessing in disguise because Roberto Perez took over in the playoffs, and I mean he single-handedly won a World Series game, if you remember. So it ended up working in the Tribe's favor. But I was like, what did they trade? What were they going to trade for Lucroy, who was looked as a lucrative, pun intended, catcher bat? Because he did pretty well behind the plate, but he could hit the ball. And so I looked, and it was Francisco Mejia, top catching prospect. He did not pan out at all. Cleveland was very high on him. Greg Allen, who saw some time in Cleveland, and Yu Chang, who saw some time in Cleveland. And I'm looking at what Ananitti traded for Bailey. I think he traded away a little more because you got to give away first-round pick. And you got to remember, these first-round picks in baseball, you're starting to see them come out more than you ever had before. They're more right. They're hitting more on these picks.
Especially the pitching.
Yeah.
Because pitching, but then again, Cleveland got so much pitching.
It could have been a bat.
We need a bat.
Right. But you also got this lefty pitcher, Tugboat, who played for the Canadian national team. And, I mentioned the Rubber Ducks. This guy had a 2.25 ERA his minor league career, not just this year. He wasn't a big strikeout guy, but he would eat up innings.
We also gave him a pick in the combination.
That's what I mean. Yeah, the pick could have been a bat. And because you look at guys, Trout fell to the 20s. Aaron Judge fell to the 20s. You don't know who was going to be on the board. So you trade away that guy for a defensive catcher? And there was fans going, we had this Engel kid from, I think, University of Michigan, if I'm correct, who's known for his defense. They said, if Naylor needed a trip down, why didn't they just call this guy up if they're just looking for defense?
I don't.
This is a bad. This is why I'm saying. I know we got to take a break here, but this is why I'm somebody that keeps saying we've seen the best out of Ananitti and Chernoff. I think we've seen this is the best they're going to bring to the table because now they're just giving away big pieces for smaller stuff, and it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. I
don't. I didn't understand either when a trade happens.
Yeah, if you're going to flip those pieces, you got to bring something that's win now, not just defense.
He needed to bring a bat.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, this catcher, this Bailey guy, is one of the top defensive catchers in all of baseball.
2-time Gold Glover.
Along with Hedges.
Right.
We got two of probably the best defensive catchers in all of baseball, but they can't hit.
They'll hit you 120, yeah. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll finish off baseball, and then a former Cleveland Brown has found a new home. Stay tuned. And welcome back to 10 Cent Beer Night, our last segment in this middle of May calendar year. I'm Seth.
I'm Bob.
And it's looking like weather-wise, we're going to start getting normals this coming weekend. Still a little bit cooler this week, but looks like we're going to see 70s. And if you know Ohio, it's probably going to stay pretty consistent after this weekend, hopefully.
No, wait 5 minutes. We'll know. Wait 5 minutes. Wait 5 minutes.
Wait 5 minutes.
Things change here in Northeast Ohio.
I'm ready for the summer. I'm ready for that weather. I'm ready for real baseball weather. Is what I'm trying to tell you. Because we're about a fifth away. A fifth of the season's already passed, I should say. We read you the AL Central standings, which is very close. For the American League East, real quick. At this time, again, we are shooting on Monday here. The Tampa Bay Rays are in first at 26-13. A game behind them is the Yankees. And then this is where it gets interesting, Bob. There has been finally a shift, a spread in the AL East because the Blue Jays are 8.5, the Orioles are 9, and the Red Sox are 9.5. So now those last three teams have some work to do, and it's not as close as it was a week or even 2 weeks ago. In the American League West, Sacramento A's 21-19. 2 games behind them are the Rangers. 2.5 games behind them are the Mariners. The Angels and the Astros are 5.5 at 16-25. So that one's still pretty much open as of now. In the National League, the National East, the Braves, who won a weekend series against the LA Dodgers, are 28-13. And now we have, again, a spread here too, like some distance between first and the others, because the Phillies and Marlins are 19-22 and are 9 games, and so are the Nationals, and all three are 9 games behind the Braves, which this is the furthest lead anybody in the National League East has had yet. And then you have the Mets at 12.5 games back, hoping to get Francisco Lindor back soon, because they've been struggling there. In the National League Central, this again another change-up. I mean, this order has just changed up constantly the past month. And now you have the Chicago Cubs in first at 27-14. 3.5 games behind them are both the Milwaukee Brewers and St. Louis Cardinals. The Pirates are 22-19, and so are the Reds. They're tied for last 5 games back. So again, Bob, we're going to say this the rest of the season. This is probably going to be the closest race out of all the divisions. This is going to be very, very tight-knit. And we talked about the debate of the top 4, leaving St. Louis out, and St. Louis is still in the conversation. So, in the National League West, we have a tie for first after the Dodgers had back-to-back weird weeks. They're dealing with a lot of injuries right now. And the Padres and the Dodgers are tied at 24-16. Diamondbacks are 4.5 games behind them. Then you have the Giants 8 games behind them at 16-24. And then the Rockies dead last again at 16-25, 8.5 games back. But Rockies still playing better than I thought they would.
They're playing good ball.
Yeah, not bad at all. Considering where they were last year. This is not bad by any means. But Dodgers slip in there. They lost a 3-game series, I told you, against the Braves there. And then they did win their series against the Astros, but the week before that, they lost the series against the Cardinals, and then they lost series against the Marlins. So that Astros one had been the first series in a while that they had won. And, yeah, they actually do. They play the Giants this week, and then they go and play the Angels after the Guardians are done with the Angels there. So we'll see what the back-to-back defending champs do there. But all in all, Cleveland still's got a lot of work to do.
We got the pitching. Our pitching staff's been holding us in there.
Right. Bybee hasn't got a win yet, though. That was the one thing I noticed.
But he's not. They're not giving him any runs.
Right.
He lost the other day 2-1.
You looked like your brother when you said that. It's like, oh, well, they don't do enough.
They don't get enough runs for the poor guy.
They don't.
They don't.
Jose's bat's been inconsistent. Quan's had a bad start.
He had a bad start.
Like, I mean, it's DeLauder's the only one showing.
I think it's time to take Quan and drop him down in the lineup. Don't let him be the leadoff.
Try something different.
Now it's time to start moving these guys around a little bit.
Right. Yeah. I don't think Bazana's done bad for his start so far. I think he's doing what he can right now. But it's. We'll see.
You got to do something to try to get these guys started. They're not hitting, especially our Quan. Quan usually gets on base, even if it's a walk. But he ain't even doing that much. He's doing it, but Jose's really struggling.
Right, absolutely there. So, I'm gonna pull this up, give you some Akron Rubber Duck news because there was some roster.
There were some roster moves.
There was. They call Angel Ganeo, who is a third base and outfielder prospect, high up for the Guards. They're tempted on potentially calling him up at some point this year. He got called up to the Clippers. They did call up. This is a name to remember. Outfielder Jason Chourio. He's the brother of Jackson Chourio, which is the starting center fielder for the Milwaukee Brewers. And apparently they're very similar. And I'm looking at producer Bob like he would know. Like, in case you don't know, Jackson Chourio, that's a big deal. Good contact, good speed. Like they're that type of kind of hitters. If he's anything like his brother, I should say. And then of course, like they lost their ace in that trade. I don't have that listed in front of me. But Tugboat was his nickname there. So there you go. Guy Lipscomb is back from the development list there. So I'm just naming some stuff that happened for the Rubber Ducks. And then Juan Benjamin actually got sent down to Akron recently too. They're at home this week. Real quick, we'll read that. But they just had a series in Richmond, and it was bad. They went 1-5. it was.
Well, they're struggling too.
Yeah, there you go. So here's your shout out to the Akron Rubber Ducks here. This is going to be their week list. By the time you hear this, Tuesday and Wednesday's games will be about done. But Tuesday they'll do they'll be called the Devil Strips, and then First Downs fans will receive a T-shirt of the 2023 Devil Strip Reband. That's a media company in Akron there. Good people we've dealt with. There's Tall Boy Tuesday too. They have game show night and Paws and Claws for Wednesday. For the games that we will be made after this broadcast, Thursday, First Responder Night. You gotta love First Responder Night. Take care of this First Responder.
And I'll be there.
And really, well, it's Thursday, Bob. You get
That's why we're gonna be
$2 beer and Coke.
Yep.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah,
So
yep. That's why we go on. We usually go on Thursdays. Thursday.
there you go. Friday. Oh, you're asking for fights here. It's Kent versus Akron College night. What are you doing? What are you doing? You there's they'll wear their electric blue uniforms, and there's Friday night fireworks. There'll be fireworks during that game with Kent and Akron people. I'll tell you that much. This is cool. Saturday night, Negro League night.
That seems like it'd be pretty cool.
There was a professional Negro League in Akron at a time. For those that don't know, the Akron Black Tyrants.
And
then the Cleveland
30s.
Buckeyes too, that won a Negro League World Series.
43, I think it was.
Yep. Butch Reynolds bobblehead. I don't know who that is.
Butch Reynolds? You don't know Butch Reynolds? Grew up in Akron. You don't know Butch Reynolds?
No, I don't know. But let's look. Oh, I just lost my place.
Gold medal winner in the Olympics.
That's right. You're right. Okay. Yes, I'm remembering now. Butch Reynolds. He's 61. He might be there. He's went to Ohio State, 2-time Olympic medal.
Graduated.
You're right.
Went to Hoban.
I didn't even. I thought he was an actor for whatever.
I talked to him not too long ago. I know his dad Harry real well. Harry Reynolds.
Well, he might be. They both might be there. Yeah, I mean, so.
Well, I don't know if Harry will be there. Harry's like 93 years old. But
for his son's bobblehead, now you wouldn't want to be there.
But I see Harry. I see Harry pretty regular. Pretty regular. I ain't gonna say I see him at Northfield, but I just see him there.
There you go. And of course, Sunday's a family fun day. Women's sports celebration. Of course, this sub point this year, we're going to know the Cleveland WNBA team name. And then kids will run the bases there. So, Rubber Ducks in town. Go take your kids out. Always about the Akron Rubber Ducks and baseball and everything.
It's good entertainment. I mean, it's cheap entertainment. I mean, especially for the kids.
Right, absolutely. I wanted to see real quick. The Alex Mooney's still there. He might. Oh, wait, that's the infielders. I'm looking for. One guy Alphonse and Rosario. How is he?
I mean,
playing?
they got a thing now.
6 home runs.
Special down there now that you can get a season ticket for the Rubber Ducks game. Every game for $99. It's a special going on right now.
Just for $100 you get every game.
You get every game.
Just one ticket?
It's one ticket, yeah.
Okay.
So if you got a family of $400, you can go down all rest of the season for.
That's not bad. No,
that's not bad at all.
No. Especially like every game already.
I mean, it comes out to like $3 a ticket.
So you're guaranteed bobbleheads and stuff too. I mean, yeah,
it's weird. They got a special going on right now. $99.
Not bad. Social media team stepping up their game too. I noticed. So they're having a lot of fun there. But yeah,
I mean, even if you go to there's like 80, 90 games left, probably. I mean, there's probably more than that.
Yeah.
But,
and the weather will be better soon, too. And everything.
You probably could, like I said, even if you go to 5 or 6 games, that you got your money back because it's going to cost you $99 just to go to that many games.
Right, right. And then, school's coming out, gives you something to do with the kids. Fun, safe environment. Again, fireworks nights every weekend and everything. So, no, they do a good job down there. We only got a few minutes left here. This morning, Browns fans officially had to say goodbye to David Njoku. He signed with the Los Angeles Chargers on a 1-year deal. This is a sigh of relief, though, because if it wasn't the Chargers, we may have seen him in purple. The Baltimore Ravens were very serious about bringing him in, and that would have hurt to see. But I can deal with the Chargers. I wish him. I wish him well anywhere because he was so good at Cleveland. I wish he would have stayed. I like our tight end room now going into this next year. But we're gonna miss. We had him for 8 years here in Cleveland. They kind of flew by, and I do think there's years that we didn't utilize him properly. Kind of hard when you don't got quarterbacks getting you the ball consistently, but it is what it is. But I wish him there. I hope Justin Herbert's very, very good to him in that offensive scheme down there. I know Mike McDaniel's now the offensive coordinator down there. He does like using tight ends in the red zone, so that's probably where he might fit. But
yeah, I didn't hear that. I'd hate to see him go.
Right. I mean, and he was. I think people pay attention knew he was going to be gone because he announced it right before free agency that he was no longer going to be with Cleveland, so he was seeking a new opportunity.
Is it because of the new coach or what?
Oh, I think we weren't willing to meet his price. I think that's what it was. Because they talked at Barry, and I mean he said this before there was a new coach and everything, and I mean they didn't.
Well, nobody thought they were going to meet Myles Garrett's price either, but he signed anyway.
That's a Hall of Famer. I mean,
yeah.
I'll tell you, this is a hard take if you want to hear a uncomfortable take by me, but I think Njoku had Hall of Fame talent too. But again, because of the years, remember when he first got in, the Browns were horrible. Not that they've ever been great the past 30 years, but I mean they were. This was when he came in with Myles Garrett when they went 0-16. So he saw a winless season to start his career, and that's where they were at up until when Baker came in and was able to get him the ball a little bit more. But I don't think they correctly used. I mean, this guy had all the speed and ability as a receiving tight end, and I just don't think they used him properly. And even 2020, when they were great, that season where they potentially could have at least made the AFC Championship game, they did not get him in the offense like they should have. And so I think there was years of his career kind of wasted by the fact that they didn't properly use him. And that's, I hope he makes LA his new home because I just did not want him in Baltimore. I knew the damage that was going to cause.
Well, we don't want him anybody in our central division.
No.
Yeah, even with the Bengals, the Bengals are struggling down there, having problems. Rumor, we golfed with a bunch of guys from Ontario, Canada.
Right.
And they're Minnesota fans, Minnesota Vikings fans. They says we're doing everything. We've heard rumors that Burrows could be going to Minnesota. That's what they were telling us.
I doubt they would let him walk.
Said I doubt it. I doubt he's going there too. But he said we've heard that rumor that our sports shows up in Ontario and Minnesota, because I guess they border states, so they're close on Minnesota's line. So that's why they're Vikings fans. But they had their bags and purple bags with the Vikings logos on it and stuff, golfing. And they're saying, yeah, we've heard that possibility we might be trying to go after Burrows, and I don't know if Cincinnati will let him go, but
no, they wouldn't let him go. I mean, that's kind of wishful thinking on their part. That's similar to.
Well, they're Canadians.
They're also Viking. No, they're going to be between Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy there. And just I'm not sold on J.J. personally, but Browns media has already gotten annoying. We're not even at training camp yet. The quarterback situation is what it is. I think fans that are following know it's between Deshaun and Shedeur right now.
Well, I think it's going to be Watt. You ain't going to pay this guy that kind of money and not start him. I'm sorry, it ain't going to happen. If I was the owner of that team, he better have his ass on the field.
Yeah, but they don't want to rub the the new coach the wrong way.
First, how many games have he played since he's been in Cleveland?
I would have to look it up and whatnot.
It ain't very many. And you're paying him what, $40 million, $50 million a year?
It's $40 million this year.
Well,
yeah.
whatever,
It is,
$40
yeah.
million dollars, and he hasn't even played. He's playing. If he's healthy, he's starting. I don't care who he is.
Well, they got to win too, and if he's not playing well, I don't want to. You have a Pro Bowl quarterback. It should. And don't get technical with me about. Well, all those players got injured. I get that, but he still got the honor. Okay, he still played. He went 3-4 the 7 games he played. I would say none of the losses were really his fault. It was just it was always something else. Not trying to say he didn't do anything wrong either, but I mean, like, a core of his interceptions were off his own receiver's hands. You know what I mean? You do kind of the math of what everything would have looked like. You give him better weapons, which they now have, and you give him better protection. It's a whole different story, and so that's what I think they're looking forward to in going into this next season here. But
I ain't paying old guy $40 million to be a backup quarterback.
But I will.
And you got what's his name? Sanders is making what, 4 or 5 million? Yeah, it ain't gonna happen. Well, like I said, when they moved to Brook Park, then I'm not a fan no more. So I'll start it now. And here, the Oakland Athletics. They're the Oakland Athletics until they move to whatever. They're not Sacramento.
That's just my dig at him.
I know.
He's
They're
very
the Oakland
right now.
Athletics. You know, when they move to Vegas, it's a different story because that's the transfer to team. But Cleveland is not transferring to another city. They're moving to another city, and they're going to still be called the Brown. They're going to be called the Brook Park Browns.
It's still Cleveland.
It's going to be Brook Park Browns.
Other than the Browns are just now in rookie camp now. The other story was Brandon Sorsby, Texas Tech quarterback, might go to supplemental draft because he's in trouble for gambling. Makes me a little nervous there. If people have brought up his name because the Browns have looked at him.
Trouble with gambling.
Yeah, he got caught. He's got a gambling addiction. He had to go to rehab.
I buy lottery tickets. Did I got an addiction?
No, he's got a legit problem. But I bring it because I know
it's perfectly legal.
They were looking. The Browns were looking at him, and I will say I looked at some film. Guy is good. I will tell you that. I don't think they should give up a day 1 or 2 pick for him. But if they want to give up a 5th, 6th, or 7th round pick to bring him in and just give him a tryout, forget about it. Yeah, just do it. I mean, 6'3", very athletic, sharp passing skills. I mean, he's.
Oh, I can blame a guy who wants to gamble a little bit.
I think it's a little more complicated. I mean, look at the Guardians situation.
Well, no, those are cockfighting. They were cockfighting. He bet on cockfighting. Didn't gamble on throwing pitches. That's what he told him. He told him, I said, I was betting on getting cockfighting.
I don't believe. Hey, we gotta go. We gotta go. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, we're talking about the Cavs still in the playoffs. I don't want to talk Cavs off season next week, but if we do, you're going to hear a lot of whining and griping and whatnot from us. We'll talk about where the guards are going into next week. Probably not much in the way of Browns news, but if the Browns do anything until then, that'll be great. We didn't get to Columbus Crew and all that, but we'll get to that next week and whatnot. So without further ado, I'm Seth.
I'm Bob.
Go Cavaliers! You guys have a nice week, and hopefully the weather will get nicer. We can get outside.
Go Zips girls softball.
Absolutely. We'd love to talk more about them next week. So, take care.